guys, it's Nikki in Nashville, back in Nashville, Tennessee at CRS Day 2, and now I'm here with Miss Tori Martin. Hello, how are you?
Howdy. I'm great. How are
Good.
you?
I'm doing phenomenal, thank you. We just spent like 5 minutes talking about each other's boots because I'm not going to make you kick up and show, but they're gorgeously pearly white, and you said they are Reba's line at Justin, right?
That's right.
Yes, ma'am. And she's
Shout
got
out
the
Reba.
fringe and the turquoise. You know how to do it up.
I love it. We have similar styles. So.
I love it so much.
Birds of a feather.
Turquoise makes me happy. I don't know if that's.
I love it. I'm addicted.
I know, I'm addicted. Oh, girl, I love it.
Truly an addiction.
So is this your first year at CRS, or you've been here a couple years?
Second year.
Second?
But there's been a few years in between, so it kind of feels like my first.
Yeah, it kind of feels like.
I'm back again.
Yeah, you never know what to expect.
Yeah.
So what do you got going on this year, 2025? New music coming out, tour? Kind of tell us what we got going on.
A little bit of it all.
I love
Right
it.
now I have a single out. It's called Abilene.
Yep.
And I released that in January.
I love that song.
Thank
I listened to it on the way over here.
Oh, thank you so much.
I love it. You guys
That
listen
means
to
a lot.
Abilene. Yeah.
It definitely has kind of like a throwback country feel. So
Sure.
if you like 1970s vibe a
Yeah.
little bit, if you like that old school country sound, I think you'll probably like it.
You most
Some
definitely
people,
do.
they're like, man, this sounds like a female George Strait song. And I'm like, hey, I'll take that all day long.
That is the best compliment I think you could ever
one of the highest
receive.
I've ever been made.
Now, you were raised on classic country music.
That's right.
Who are some of your idols?
Well, I love Dolly Parton.
And Dolly?
Huge Dolly fan. I also love Tammy Wynette, and I love Loretta Lynn. I mean,
Yeah.
I love the girls. Don't get me wrong.
And powerful country voices and females. I love it.
I also like Miranda Lambert. I liked Carrie Underwood growing up. Dixie Chicks, the Chicks.
The Chicks.
But they were the Dixie Chicks when I first learned about them, and I'm like, man, Natalie Maines made me want to sing.
I hear you. Her voice is so good.
So good.
How does growing up with that classic country sound kind of influence your sound today? Like, talk to me about the evolution of your career.
Man, it's been wild. Like, you definitely have to go through and kind of try things on.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, is this really my style? It's like, I can do it, but no, not really me.
Yeah.
And I think I'm at the point in my career where it's like, okay, I'm not really trying to chase a fad, and I'm not trying to chase a trend. I just want to be myself,
Yeah.
and I've really kind of honed in on that. And to me, it is the traditional kind of sound.
Yeah.
It's like kind of neo country, but modern. And I started out singing in church, obviously,
Sure.
but Opry houses. And
Yeah.
that's where you get up and you sing like a country standard with a house band, and that's what I did. And I don't know, it just kind of shaped me vocally. That's where I kind of sit. So it
I love
definitely
that.
is influencing me greatly, even later in life. So
Yeah.
I'm having fun. This music I'm really proud of.
That's awesome. And so you're from Texas?
I'm military brat.
So you moved around a lot.
I moved a lot.
Gotcha.
And I claim Texas.
Claim
it's the
Texas.
longest I've lived anywhere in my life.
Okay.
And so I'm like, oh, Texas is my home. All my family lives there. So
Yeah, what
I'm
part?
a Texan. Around Fort Worth area.
Okay.
I grew up in a small town called Azle.
Okay.
And some people, it's small.
Yeah.
They're like, where? I'm like, Fort Worth.
Fort Worth
If
area.
you don't know, but it's a cute little town.
That's great. And so you said you grew up performing in Opry houses. There's a Texas Opry circuit. Can you tell everybody kind of about that experience?
Yeah, there was. It's kind of a dying breed. It's
Oh,
really
no.
a thing of the past. But yeah, that's kind of what you did. Especially, I started out, I think I was 14 when I started getting into music and 15 when I started performing. So
Okay.
it's 15-year-old, it's probably a little better starting the Opry houses versus the bars.
Yeah.
Believe me,
True.
I worked my way up to the bar, and I was singing in bars at a really young age.
You went honky tonkin' before you could drink, huh?
Exactly. I wasn't even drinking, and I'm like, woo, I feel like I've lived so many lives.
That's awesome.
But yeah, so I'm like, I don't know, the opera houses aren't really around anymore. But
Yeah.
I loved it. It was really good, and I think it was good for me. It's kind of like singing in church, when you make a mistake or something, it's really forgiving.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, honey,
that's nice.
you're doing so good.
You were 15.
When you're
I feel like you're
little
pretty forgiving when
and
you're 15.
starting out.
Yeah.
It's it's good instead of being boo.
Right. Who would ever do that to a fit anyway?
People are like that, man.
That's true. They could be. So you just knew always that music was your calling. Was there ever anything else, or was it always this path?
Always music.
That's awesome.
I knew at a young age. I think I like knew dead set by 2nd grade. I remember them asking us in school, like, what are you going to be when you grow up? And I was like, well, I'm going to be a singer. And they were like, are you sure? And I'm like, oh, absolutely. So, I mean, I was like, I want to be like Britney Spears. Obviously, she's not in country music, but I loved Britney.
That's so interesting whenever, like, also sad whenever they tell kids, oh, maybe you should pick something that's more realistic. Like, don't tell kids that, you know? That's so cool that you knew from that young of an age that that's what you wanted to do. There's so many people who, like, are still kind of trying to find their thing.
Yeah.
And it's so interesting that sometimes people just, they know so young. And I feel like that's so freeing. And, like, that's awesome. I'm so happy for you.
I'd love to do it.
Very cool. You went on American Idol. Tell me about that experience.
Sure. That was a minute ago. I was on season 14.
Okay.
Just before they, like, I think they had one more season. They kind of shut down, and then they, like, rebranded and came back out.
That's right. They said they were stopping and then came back again.
They were like, just kidding. We're not going
back
for
again.
that long. But when I went, it was Keith Urban. So that was really cool. I got to meet Keith. He told me he loved my voice, and I was like, okay, that's all I needed. So I'll just leave.
The seal of approval from Keith.
Yeah, come on. Harry Connick Jr. and Jennifer Lopez.
Nice.
And so I was 19 when I did it, and went through it, did the Hollywood rounds, and then I ended up getting axed out there in Hollywood. But it was still a great experience overall, and just kind of like came off the show and like rode that momentum and started hitting the ground running from there.
That's awesome. I feel like even at a young age, being on a big show like that with all of those people, there's a lot of pressure, but I feel like it definitely is that rite of passage of confidence. Yeah. Like, you've got, so many people out there watching you, but if you can do that, man, you can do anything.
No kidding.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Like, going in there, like, they kind of try to, like, psych you out. They put you in this, like, box before you go in.
Yeah.
And it's really small.
That's
so
gotta
if
be
you're
nerve-wracking.
Claustrophobic, it's like, ugh, I'm getting hot in here. And then you go walk out, and it's like all these lights, superstars, cameras. You're like a little, like, starstruck for a moment. And then it's like, oh, hey, I'm here to audition. So it's a lot.
Maybe they want to disorient you to see if you can perform under pressure or something like that. Yeah.
Absolutely things like that.
If you didn't know, now you do.
Yeah, get ready.
What's a message that you want people to kind of take away from your music, if anything?
I love that. I haven't been asked that question. I mean, if anything, like, this is what I love to do with my life, and if I can inspire someone to do something that they love and feel something, I love when music makes you feel, whether it's happy or sad. I just, like, if I have inspired someone and I've made them feel something, like, that does something for me. It's like, oh man, you relate to my music, you relate to my feelings too.
Yeah.
A lot of this is my life and things I've been through and kind of sharing my heart. So I think that's the coolest thing. I'm like, I just want to do what I love, and I hope people, if you resonate with it, it's pretty cool.
That's awesome. I love that. Very authentic, very vulnerable, want people to relate.
Yeah.
That's so great. I love that. Sorry if it was the first time to kind of catch you off guard with that question, but that was a great answer.
That's cool. Thank you.
So what do you like to do outside of music? Like, what's your life look like on the side?
That's a fun question. Nobody's asked me about that at all today.
Oh.
I love it.
I was gonna, side note, ask you about your dog, so we'll get there.
Ah, yes. So I love animals. I have some land with my husband out in West Texas. So we like to ride horses and hang out with our cows, our longhorns.
Yeah. You have longhorns?
We have longhorns.
And you have horses? Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Black Angus. We have a lot of stuff out there, and obviously doggies too. Yeah. So I love to do that, and then I love Pilates. I'm a Pilates girly. It's like one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
Just like, it's a full body workout, but it's kind of relaxing, and you have to focus on your breath work, which is great as a singer. So I'm like, it's just triple punch for me.
Oh yeah, good for you. I tried the what's the machine one called? Reformer. And I have never been so sore after a workout, and I lift heavy all the time. And then I went to that, and I'm like, there's more to muscle work than strength. Like, you gotta have that endurance, and that really kind of humbled me. I was like, why am I so sore from this? Like, this is so tough.
I love seeing like NFL players get on the Reformer, and they're like,
shaking, like trying to.
Literally, they're like, how do you do this? this. I'm like,
there you go. Now you know.
Oh, so good.
They act like it's not hard until you try it, and
No,
then
it
it's
is
just like
very hard.
impossible to do.
But I'm like, the more you do it, I don't know. It's just like, it's like therapy for me. I'll be honest. Music is therapy, but I find therapy.
And Pilates is therapy too. I'm so jealous that you've got like your own little slice of heaven with all these animals and horses. I've been telling everyone I'm talking to, because I feel like I'm talking to a lot of people who are like, they were in rodeo or they do have horses and they have that kind of Western. That's like, I think I was born in the wrong state. Like, I'm from Indiana. I wish I was born out in Texas or Montana and just kind of had that whole ranch experience.
So getting, like,
good for you. Yes.
You know,
I would love to go to Wyoming. I would love it.
So beautiful up there.
What is a song that you wish you would have written?
I think somebody asked me this earlier, and
oh shoot!
No, I love this. I talked about it. The House That Built Me by Miranda Lambert.
Oh yeah,
it's one of
that's
my all-time favorites, and I think it's just kind of because I didn't really have that growing up, so it moves me when I hear that song. It's like, ooh, wow, I love that, and just the imagery in that song. So I'm like, man, I wish I wrote that one. I know it took 10 years to write, so.
Oh wow. Okay, so you said you didn't really have that. So that's interesting, because if you were in military, your family was military, so you moved around a ton. So you didn't really have a place that felt like home.
Yeah.
Wow.
Other than my papa's house.
Okay.
That was kind of like the only constant.
It's like a staple in your
Yeah. He never moved. He lived. Well, he did. Yeah, he died in his house. But it was. Man, I think he lived there for like 20 something years.
Oh
It
wow.
was a long time. So.
And that's Texas.
It was in Arkansas.
In Arkansas. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Monticello is a little
wow.
town, and so he had some land and stuff. So like that was probably the closest I ever had to anything being like a house that built me, quote unquote. And I don't know, I love it. So it makes me think of his house.
That's awesome. Who's been one of the artists that you've collabed with, written with, performed with, opened for, that you're just kind of like, wow, this is awesome?
That is a good question. I went on the road with Drew Baldridge last year.
Okay.
And that was really cool experience, and he was kind of inspirational to me because he's been like an independent artist and like got that #1 as an independent artist, and so that really spoke to me of where I'm at. It's like, okay, wow, I'm like, I can't believe he cut through like that, and it just kind of encouraged me to keep going.
That's
so
great.
I loved going out on the road with him. It was awesome.
That's great. And you've had a lot of radio charting success with, was it Abilene or some of your other like singles as well? Just a lot of
majority of my songs have been on the charts.
On the charts.
And Lost
so
in the Country was my first #1.
Okay.
It happened while I was on tour last year. Nice. And then Abilene is riding on up there. It's #12.
I love it. Well, that's a great trajectory, and it's only been out since January, right? So you've got, it's definitely going to get there,
7 weeks. I'm like, come on.
That's awesome. Well, keep streaming that song so we can do some more charting, get to another #1. Let everybody know where they can find you.
Sure thing. You can go to my website, thetorimartin.com. You can find me on social. My handle is @thetorimartin. Y'all find me.
All right. Thanks, guys.